I lost 10 pounds in 1 month.
What I eat in a day as a skinny legend.
Getting snatched within a week. There's one thing that skinny people do very different.
You want to lose weight?
It's not self-love summer until it's skinny summer.
This is the only way you'll get skinny.
Kate replied, "There's nothing tastes as good as skinny feel."
The 90s skinny is back, ladies, and I want to share my personal journey with wanting to be as thin as possible and how that led to EDs and just really unhealthy and harmful mindsets to hopefully remind you and convince you that being as skinny as you possibly can isn't as glamorous as social media makes it seem, because some of us are just not meant to be built that way, and that's okay. So this is obviously going to be a video about like eating disorders. It could be a little bit triggering to people that are like sensitive to that type of content. So if this is you, please like protect your peace and click out. I thought about like not making it too triggering, but I don't really know how to do that and still try to be as raw and like transparent about my journey. So I grew up being very skinny. I was like the skinny one in the family, the thin one in the family. My family called me like flaca, which is skinny in Spanish. And I feel like my mom kind of took pride in that sometimes. She would gloat to her friends, "Oh, my daughter loves to eat her fruits. Oh, a bag of chips lasts a whole week in our household." Things like that. And I didn't really realize how much that affected me until I went through puberty and I was not necessarily thin anymore. And I don't blame my mom or hold any resentment towards my mom by any means, because I think it's just like, as a woman in this society, we have like these issues surrounding our body image, surrounding our weight, surrounding our physical appearance. And I think that naturally she also has these issues. And unlike us, or me, a part of like this younger generation, like she didn't have access to the information that we do now. So a lot of these issues were even more rampant, because people didn't even have like a safe space to like express themselves. They literally just had to buy whatever it was that the media sold them, and they couldn't really express like their own viewpoints like I'm doing right now with this video, you know? And we all know that the media loves, or especially back then loved, to fat shame and call people ugly and sexualize and objectify. So I don't blame the older generations for instilling these mindsets, but it was still like damaging to me nonetheless. But you know, during this time, being thick was also very popular, and people loved to like glamorize eating hot Cheetos and drinking fraps. So this kind of like kept my body image issues at bay. I was like, okay, like I'm not super skinny anymore, but maybe I'm gonna get a little bit thick, you know? But then I started getting super into like grunge and like indie music, and I was never like on Tumblr in like 2014, but because I started consuming like the indie music, like that type of music, I started going on Pinterest, and I was seeing basically like what Tumblr was, or like the reminiscence of Tumblr, on Pinterest and Instagram. And I started to glamorize like being super skinny, being literally like heroin skinny, cigarette girl skinny, you know, like that type of aesthetic. And I wanted to look cute and pretty like the girls that I saw, and I wanted to lose weight. And I thought that I was doing it in like a very healthy way. And I think at the beginning I was. Like I would go on YouTube, like how to lose weight. And they would tell me, oh, count your calories, exercise, do all of this. And I was in cross country, so I had the exercising nailed down to a T. I decided to like count my calories, and I thought that I was eating like a healthy amount of calories. But looking back now, it was just like far too little for my lifestyle, because I was extremely active. I'm not going to say the amount, but it was not enough. And it quickly, like very quickly, turned obsessive and toxic. And it was very ironic looking back, because a lot of people are like, oh, well, counting calories is the only way to lose weight. Counting calories is the best way to lose weight. Counting calories is, yes, it can be very like a very big tool, and it could help you reach like your weight loss goal, but nobody ever talks about how easily it can turn toxic and it can turn into like an obsession, because in my mind it was truly like a game. Like I wanted to eat the least amount of calories. I would log in the amount that I ran, the calories that I burned, and I would end up negative calories consumed. Nobody talks about like the mental toll that having an ED puts on you. And it's so important to like shed light on the mindsets that you adopt because of an eating disorder. And it is something that nearly 10 years later, like I am still having to deal with. Obviously, it's not as bad now, but I still see like a little bit of the traces of those mindsets. Like it alters your brain completely, and you are never the same after coming back from an eating disorder. So obviously I was depriving myself of vital nutrients, and because of that I was not only extremely hungry all of the time, but I was also super obsessed with food, and I was hyper aware of the food around me. Anytime I would hear a wrapper open, I would quickly turn. Anytime I would be having a conversation with my friend, let's say they were eating something, like I was just thinking about the food that they were consuming because I was just so hungry. I would spend my time watching mukbangs or just random like food content online. I truly felt like I couldn't have any thought whatsoever that didn't involve food. And because of that, being anywhere was hell. It was so exhausting because it was like I was craving everything that I saw. And obviously, like let's say you're in school, you're going to see hundreds of different foods. You're going to go to the supermarket. What do you see? Food. You're going to go to the mall. What is everybody doing? Eating. Food is everywhere. And I would go home and I would cry because I couldn't stop thinking about like the foods that I saw throughout the day. Do you know how exhausting that is and how stupid you almost feel? Like you don't feel human, you don't feel quote unquote normal. Because who thinks that much about food? And oftentimes we think, oh, well, when I finally lose the weight, I am going to feel more confident. I'm going to love my body and these cute clothes. Like, oh, it's going to be so good. Like, I just need to lose a little bit of weight to be happy. But that is not the case. Like, I don't think I have ever felt more insecure than I did when I was like right in the middle of my eating disorder. I would cover myself up completely, even though I was thin. I didn't like having my skin exposed. It's just like the worst like body dysmorphia ever. You see yourself completely different than you actually look. And when I finally reached like this goal of being skinny, like I knew that I was skinny, but I felt like my mind was like playing tricks on me. But I knew, like, obviously I saw the number on the scale and I'm like, that's really low. And so I knew that I had finally achieved my goal, and I just felt like shit. Not only was I just super tired and all of these things, but I was also super insecure. I hated my body. I hated myself. And that's when I realized that confidence is not on like based on external like physical appearances or physical features. Like confidence is literally all from within. If you feel like that bitch, you are going to be that bitch. You're going to show up as that bitch. And if you feel like a loser, incredibly insecure, that is how you will show up. It doesn't matter how skinny you get. It doesn't matter how small you get. Like if you are insecure and if you don't deal with all of the insecurities you have in your head and your mind about you, you're still going to be insecure after you lose the weight. I would have daily breakdowns, literally just shutting myself in my room and just crying and crying and crying because I wanted to feel normal. There is nothing more than I wanted than to just go back in time, never know like what a calorie was, because I was happy. I was happy before all of that shit. Yes, I wanted to lose a little bit of weight, but it was never like, oh, I hate my body so much. I want to completely like be super skinny, completely transform it. It was never like that. It was more of like, oh, you know, it would be a little bit cool to look like all of these girls on the internet. Maybe I should lose weight. And then it got me to the point, that I just never thought it would get that bad. I would even like pray. I'm like, I just want to be able to go out and eat with my friends. I just want to be able to go to a family party where like food is surrounding us. Having an eating disorder, it's miserable. Miserable. No number on the scale is worth your sanity. Your body is not a trend despite society constantly trying to persuade you that it is. Do not let the nearly $90 billion diet industry or the celebrities who are crying because they feel so pressured to fit into like this beauty standard that they themselves created fool you. And sure, if you look like Bella Hadid, or if you're just like super skinny and super pretty, like, are you gonna get treated a little bit differently than like the average person? Yeah, but are those little instances of praise, of approval, of envy, the stares, like, are they worth everything that you are giving up? Because imagine the quality of life that you will have when all of your thoughts are about your appearance, your weight, the food around you, the food you can't have, the food you want to have, the food you shouldn't have. Do you think that that is a good way to live? Because let me tell you right now, it's not. And we never truly know. Like, some people, they're naturally thin, they're naturally skinny, and that's fine. They're beautiful, But there are other people who are literally fighting their demons to be able to maintain a very slim figure. You don't know who is starving themselves in order to be skinny and who is actually just naturally thin or doing it in a very healthy manner. You never know. And then what do? We see somebody online who is claiming that, oh, I'm super healthy and I work out a lot, I eat so much, I'm just super skinny, and we make them like our goals. But we do not know. Do you seriously think somebody who is in the thick of an eating disorder is going to be like, yeah, I have an eating disorder? I mean, few people do, but most people who are struggling with food, they're not going to do that. I'm not going to tell them, such a bitch, like, you should be honest and you should be transparent because you're inspiring all this other people. I'm not going to tell them that because they are literally going through their own hell. We as consumers have to recognize the fact that we cannot compare ourselves to other people. We cannot make other people our dream bodies. We cannot look at what I eat in a day that starts with like a body check and think, oh, if I eat this, I'm gonna look like them. We cannot do that because we don't know. And listen, am I telling you, don't ever try to lose weight. Okay, so my footage got deleted. Let's pretend like this isn't weird. But am I here to tell you to don't ever try to lose weight? No. When I recovered from my eating disorder, I developed a binge eating disorder and I gained a lot of weight. It was to the point where I was eating a lot of junk food, obviously food in excess. I felt really uncomfortable in my body. I had gained a lot of weight. I focused on getting better, healing my relationship with food. And when, I would say 2 years after I did that work, I was finally at a point where I'm like, okay, I am ready to lose weight. Did I count my calories? No. Did I focus on health? Yes. Did I focus on exercise? Yes. I did it in a very healthy and sustainable way. Whenever there were times that I felt like, oh shit, things are getting bad again, I stopped. I put a pause, or I just ended my weight loss journey. And what happened is that over time, because I was focusing on health, because I was focusing on regulating my hormones, because I was listening to my body, eventually I lost a lot of weight without it having to feel super difficult. I'm not saying you shouldn't ever try to lose weight, especially if you're at a point where your health is at risk, like I was. I am just here to say that your health should be your number one priority, and that includes your mental health. And what I see now resurfacing online, it is not prioritizing health. It is prioritizing physical appearance, prioritizing literally just getting as skinny as possible. And that is not healthy. There's a lot of just like extremism. Either you post a lot of like extreme food related mukbangs, you glorify eating in excess and call it body positivity, or you glorify being super thin. You show off the fact that you're only eating a nut, a single peanut as a snack. You're trying to promote this like nothing tastes as good as skinny feels mindset. And there needs to be a middle ground, because both of those things are horrible for us as this. Obviously they're horrible for us like as individuals, but also like our society. When I personally think about the older generations and them having to go through that 90s and early 2000s skinny phase where that was just really glorified, I feel for them. I cannot imagine the toll that that would have on me mentally. When I think about the young girls that are growing up with the TikTok that we have today that is literally just promoting eating disorders, I feel for them because I know what that's like. When I think about my nieces, or even just me, even having kids, having young little girls, I feel for that. Like, I don't want them to have to grow up in this society that is still glorifying and putting being skinny and being thin on a pedestal above everything else. And when you have an eating disorder, like, that takes up so much mental space. I don't see it possible to still have a successful career, still have a successful social life, successful relationships when you are in the thick of an eating disorder, because I swear it takes control of everything. You try to prioritize eating as little as possible over anything. When I was going through it in high school, I was in cross country. I didn't care about cross country as much as I cared about my eating disorder. I didn't care about hanging out with friends as much as I cared about my eating disorder. I was so moody all the time that eventually friends left my side because nobody wants to deal with the hangry ass bitch 24/7, you know? It affected my relationship with my parents. It affected my relationship with my family because I didn't even want to go to family events that had food. It literally just destroyed everything for me. So if you are going to lose weight, realize that you have to take it slowly. Realize that you can't go and like lose 10 pounds in a month and call it healthy, because there is a lot at stake. And that is the message that I am trying to reiterate. There is a lot at stake with this type of mindset. Like, it's not just fun and games. It's not just, oh, I'm just going to be so much hotter now. I'm just going to be so much prettier now. Life is going to be great. And we have to realize that trends are trends because we are consuming that content. And we have to be honest with ourselves. If we are sensitive to this type of content, we have to click that not interested. We have to start blocking. We have to protect our peace. And we have to not engage with that content. If it is not something that is promoting a world where you want to raise your daughters in, where you want to see your nieces or your younger cousins growing up in, stop engaging with that content. And it is up to us as individuals, us who know better, who are supposed to know better, who know the effects, the negative effects that are associated with this type of trend. It is up to us to take accountability and be like, are we commenting? Are we liking? Are we reposting this shit? We cannot wait for the rest of the world to realize. Some people do have the privilege of making, like being skinny their ultimate goal, their only goal. Save their models if they're content creators. They have that privilege, but that is not the case for a lot of us. And even you just clicking on this video and staying this long into it shows me that you are aware of that. So focus on changing your little bubble. And by recognizing that we are more than our body size, our thinness, our clothing size, and that our sanity, our health, our character, our mental health and well-being should be at the forefront of our attention. Because at the end of the day, these things are going to be what determines how fulfilling our life is, not how skinny we can get. No matter how hard society tries to push that agenda onto us. We have to literally just grip it and like really cement it into our brains that that is not the truth. But that was all that I had for you guys today. Thank you so much for tuning in and for staying this long if you did. Don't forget to like this video, comment down below your opinions, your stories. Maybe you have stories surrounding EDs. Maybe you have insight as well that could help the rest of us here, because that is all that I want to do at the end of the day. Just make sure that we are helping each other, make sure that we are building a community here. This is a safe space. Also, comment down below any new ideas you would like me to make videos on. You can also DM me. I'll link my Instagram and my TikTok down below. But yeah, until next time, bye.